Ita, after St Bridget of Kildare, is the most famous of Irish female saints. She is known as the foster mother of the saints of Ireland. She had this gift of spiritual maternity, warmth and charity. She welcomed all. She was, according to the information that we have, a typical Celtic ascetic. Kiledy Church of Ita is named after her in Limerick. She died around 570. She was of noble stock, and it's possible that St Brendan himself had a link with her. There is this tradition that he asked this question of her. What three things did God especially love? And the answer was true faith in God with a pure heart, a simple life with a religious spirit, and open-handedness inspired by charity. The purity of heart is something that comes not only from the Sermon on the Mount, but also from the Desert Fathers in Egypt, for they saw that the ultimate goal, the telos, was the kingdom of heaven. But the immediate skopos, the scope to conquer it, was purity of heart. And to obtain that purity there was a whole ascesis, and that was a physical and mental and spiritual battle, a training ground. Hence austerity and work on the faculties of the soul. And for that to happen, the soul surgeon had to know all that was going on. And the model was that of parousia, pan, all things, and rain, to flow, to say. So all the flowings were to flow out, and the diagnostics would happen as a result of what was seen and perceived. It was soul surgery. But this existed also in the Celtic world, the Anam Chara, the soul friend, of which Ita is a good model. In the East also there were holy women who had the gift of spiritual maternity. One thinks of the like of Amma Dorothea, Mother Dorothy. If it wasn't sacerdotal, it was charismatic. The Spirit could give these gifts, even in our day. We can influence each other and bring them to life. A word can go a long way. Even actually amongst even school friends. I'm indebted to school friends for bringing me to Bible study in school days. We can be Andrew for Peter. A simple life with a religious spirit. Now, a simple life echoes that also of the desert, and we know that the Celtic monastic life of the west, of the far west where we are, was very close in model to the east, and there was a link, cross-fertilization between the two. One can see that from, for instance, the key pivotal point of Les Reims, where St Patrick spent a while, where also St John Cassian spent a while, and he was the link between the east and the west via St Benedict. And therefore, that element of radicality and simpleness, simplicity of heart and of life is something that was dear to our fathers in the faith here in Ireland. The same in Wales. David of Wales had a very simple life. They pulled their own ploughs, and he was known as the aquaticus. He only drank water. Austerity. Silence, which is the simplification of all things, which opens the soul, precisely echoing the Eastern spirituality of the desert. What is the desert? A place deserted, place empty, where there is the possibility of hearing the slightest noise, the still, small voice. For the Lord is not in the earthquake. And so, for instance, one thinks of what the great Arsenius was given to understand from heaven. He heard 3 words: flee. That's what they were doing. What we need to do as well from the cybersphere: uncontrolled noise, gone overboard. Keep silence. That applies to body and soul. One can only hear that voice when we create a space for it, and not be emitting things which take it away, and engaging in things which complicate our soul. And rest. Now this echoes today's first reading, because we are in danger also of not entering into his rest. And so these old tools still work. We need to cultivate a restful mode, a still mode, a receptive mode. It's no use coming into adoration with a mobile phone switched on. And open-handedness inspired by charity. St Norbert recommended 3 things especially: order, decorum and cleanliness in all that pertained to the altar, worship; the chapter of faults, which took away grime and kept the observance wherein God dwelt, was honoured well on every level; and hospitality, and this we found in all of the best tradition of the monastic life. And actually, when I was asked to be porter and guest master in the monastery, I saw how important it was to be a good icon of Christ, because one represents the whole community before the world, and answering the phone is a whole art. The person picks up straight away if there's dismissiveness there, or an open, warm heart who cares. I had a friend, he was the son of the Vicar of Cardiff, and if I used to phone him, I'd get his father at the other line, the Vicar of Cardiff, and he would always warmly pick up the phone with something like this: hello? A little trick which made a difference. And so, this was the fruit of what she was living and is known to have lived personally. This element of the indwelling of the Blessed Trinity. Celtic spirituality was very Trinitarian. That comes back to St Patrick. She really honoured the presence in her. Much prayer and fasting. It is claimed in her case that there was this devotion to the indwelling Holy Trinity, that was her special characteristic, and it's picked up by the collect of this day for her. We become a worthy temple in which God can dwell. I picked up these words which are purported to have been given by the Lord to Don Michelini, a priest now long dead, a warning against the danger of losing our privilege to enter into his rest. My son, when will men, so slow to understand, realize the futility of those things for which they waste energy, for which they waste time and energy. Figlio mio, quando mai gli uomini così lenti a comprendere si renderanno conto della futilità di tutte quelle cose per cui sprecano tempo ed energie. I found these words, which having come across those I wrote, because it sums it all up. We are our own worst enemy. We do not enter into our rest. And one reason is that we do not die. Our will is slow to die. It must be thus, or else. We condemn ourselves, we as it were damn ourselves, either in time or even in eternity, to chase what must be at all costs, because we want it. It's rather sad that we don't realise that we miss what's there as we go on a massive wild goose chase to look for what should be, without which we cannot have joy. There are too many efforts on the earth that better were not made. There is much weight into the long void sent. There oft was mirth, far greater in the simple than the great. And joy did tingle more, for that it came, than when in calcul high it should have been, and wanting was the ruin of the same. While happy eyes did rest on what was seen. I am alone upon a little isle, where tingles come and go, but I have all, I say, for I can rest a while, not saddened by the unheld, for here the small is hugely large beheld, and I need not be damned by bliss willed and never got. Questa parola, che secondo quello che ho detto fu data da Gesù a Don Michelini, è un invito a non sprecare energie sulle cose che sono secondarie e di entrare nel modo di riposo di cui parla la prima lettura e anche il salmo invitatorio. Noi siamo i nostri propri nemici, cancelliamo la vera gioia, la ricerca di una gioia fantasmagorica che non c'è, condanniamo noi stessi all'infelicità perché non sappiamo accogliere la grazia che c'è. Nel 1957, se mi ricordo bene, fu condannato alla ghigliottina in Francia Jacques Fesch. Lui aveva il desiderio di avere una nave, una barca grande, costosa, pensando che potrebbe trovare la felicità avendo una cosa che lo porterebbe fuori mondo. Però aveva i soldi e per avere i soldi purtroppo ha ucciso un poliziotto e per questo fu anche lui ammazzato con questa condanna a morte. Era così in Francia negli anni 50. Però in prigione ha avuto una forte grazia, fulminato, era preparato per la morte. E si parla forse della sua eventuale beatificazione, dato una bella testimonianza della grazia che può far rivivere. Però la tristezza è questo, che si è rovinato una vita e anche vita della famiglia per una cosa fantasmagorica, non vedendo la gioia che c'era Dio in questa sua piccola figlia e moglie Pieretta, fedele fino alla fine. Anche noi facciamo la stessa cosa, andiamo in ricerca di una cosa che non c'è, mentre noi vediamo che le piccole gioie possono essere anche le vere. Hic et nunc.
Madre Santa, il Creatore, da ogni macchia ti servo, sei tutta bella nel tuo splendore, Immacolata, noi ti acclamiamo. Ave, Ave, Ave Maria. Tanto pura Vergine sei, che il Signore discese in te, formasti il cuore al Re dei Re, Madre di Dio, noi ti acclamiamo.